I can tell you that the higher the classification, certainly, the more often we would see violence in the institution, where offenders in those larger facility numbers were moving around with each other a lot more often. And so just per capita opportunity for violence to occur existed more in a medium custody facility. It is the rawest form of a human being. And you have to really realize that an offender is alone, entirely individual, and alone in this situation, in a very fearful situation. And so a survival instinct takes over very quickly. I saw that. A raw form of a human being. Or when I had to respond to or deal with a violent scenario in an institution, it was out of self-protection, or it was out of unrest that was a result of great fear for some reason. Mostly out of fear. Violence happens out of fear in an institution. That is what I observed more than anything else. Offenders need to be tired, and in my experience, they need to be busy all the time. It's always very good if they have some kind of program every evening. But anything that could distract them from their current circumstance, to distract them from the things that were potentially negative, like a gangster affiliation, anything to distract them from that, giving them an opportunity to get away from that was super big. For an offender to be able to get away from that environment for a while mentally, right? Mental health there too, to express some of that fear, to get rid of some of that anxiety, and to make them tired so that they can rest, they can get the sleep they need to fight that anxiety. To be able to have some kind of distractor to their current circumstance. That was so helpful. And no matter what it was. And there is great fear then in that facility, right? Everyone filters through there, and so it's the first translation for prison for most people, for all offenders. It was their first translation of prison. It was the first locked door. And so it's a very complicated facility, but it's extraordinary skill in officers that are there. Their program is fantastic. It's exceptional because it's working, and it has for all of these years. Very complex facility there. So I love it. I think it's an achievement in corrections, quite frankly, DRDC. I recognized that offenders quickly realized what they needed for parole eligibility. They would learn that very quickly. And they're case managers, right? Everyone has a case manager assigned, and they would guide them through that. This is what you need to work on this year to try to get to the parole board and satisfy that. And so for offenders, they would make careful selections and start to establish that road. Their reluctancy sometimes comes in availability. It also sometimes comes in their lack of hope. If they, for example, have had a issue, they've had a disciplinary action, that could potentially prevent them from getting into a program for a long time. And so what we'll see sometimes with offenders is that they'll give up. Their reluctancy is because they don't think they can get into it. It's dollars and availability limitations. Their logistics more than anything else, because we always have enough offenders to fill them. We really do. There's always an offender that's willing to take a class just to get out of the cell house, quite frankly. It's truly the million-dollar question. What is the recipe for helping him survive inside, and is it the same recipe for helping him when he gets out? Also, right? About that. We taught them how to read. We might have taught them, drug and alcohol. Let's get you off the booze and off the drugs, and let's teach you about things like that. But in contemporary society, we're thinking about all these new ideas that maybe we can help them internalize it. Maybe we can help them understand things better instead of just teaching them how to read. And then answer the question, is it the same for everybody? know, if he's a tweaker, if he's been a tweaker for 10 years and he comes to prison, can we give him a dog and make it work? Or are we beyond dogs at this point? That's a big question. It's a big contemporary question. And I believe it changes all the time. I believe it changes with the individual, truly.